welcome to Fulcrum of the Force, and welcome to this episode of Jim's Cantina. As you can see, I have a guest with me today. You know him as the Island Jedi. I know him as my very, very good friend, Paul. And this is the first time we've seen your face.
Yes, it is. First time I've actually done a video where...
Welcome to... welcome to Fulcrum of the Force. Welcome to my cantina. Now, normally I'd be sitting differently for my cantina, but I haven't quite figured out what I'm doing for my background. But I do have my drink in a Kylo Ren tiki, so it counts.
Mine's on order.
Yeah, it counts. It totally counts. So, welcome, and thank you for joining me.
Of course.
You're the new kid on the block, some might say.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But you've come in guns blazing.
I'm doing my best. I'm trying to.
Some would say that your best is better than most.
I appreciate it.
Well, listen, right? So I'm rinky dink. Yeah, I do my thing and people enjoy it and, whatever. That's great. But you've come in and you're like, so here's some sabers. But here's not just some sabers, but here's some sabers in some super sexy videos, super sexy photos. I'm not messing about. Here you go. Boom. Have a saber.
I researched for months, and there are so many awesome people in this community. There's like 20 that I can immediately think of off the top of my head. Who I before I got into any of this, and obviously spent a lot of time on YouTube and seeing all of you guys. That's how you and I met. And then you connected with Jake, and actually when I wanted to, get involved and to, want to be part of the community, you helped me kind of put the logo concept together, and then you reached out to Jake, and then you guys, really worked together to kind of bring my logo and my animation to life, and it was awesome. It was such an awesome experience.
It was a fun one for sure,
and I loved it, man. You knocked it out of the park for me, and for so many other people in this community. And you do such an amazing job with your animations, and you really, dude, you put a lot of heart into those, man. And it's super.
I put a lot of heart into some of them. Like others I do, and I do a good job on them. But there are some, yours mainly, and a couple of other people's, where...
Man, you knocked Jeremy's out of the park.
Yeah, where I just kind of go a little bit above and beyond. The one I did for you, I wanted to do because I wanted to make special, because I wanted to give you a proper welcome to...
Thanks, man.
My welcome means nothing, so don't worry about it. Like,
there are many that would disagree with that statement, big time.
No, but they're all like this. Yahoo. But like, because the thing is, like, you and I chatted for quite some time before you decided to like drop your first anything. Like, we've become really good friends in a very, very short space of time.
True.
You're the only person in this community. I don't like using the term community. It feels weird. But for all intents and purposes, that's what it is. You're the first one I've actually met in real life, which is absolute insanity due to the fact that you live in the Bahamas.
Twice we hung out in England, and that was awesome. And I will definitely see you again over New Year's.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of fun.
That'll be messy. We'll make sure that's a messy one for sure. But yeah, so you were there. Like, we were doing these streams with like Kyberphonic and New Type Sith and Absolute Sabers, and we were all doing our live streams, and you're always there in the chat.
Yeah, but when Boba, I mean, it was the timing of all of this for me has been, it's been remarkably kind of a domino effect, because when Boba and Mando and you guys were all meeting together and talking about it, and the fact that Kenobi is coming out, and the sabers, I mean, for the most part, I think one of the most unique things about the whole community is that whether people are into you know, Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, or whether they're into any other type of any of this stuff. They
Yeah.
all have the one common desire, to get a lightsaber and to swing it around and to have fun with it and to kind of fulfill that dream that they had when they were kids, especially all of us that were born, around the time that Empire and Jedi came out, and that was, we all grew up with that. And I think that for a lot of us, it's been a really kind of binding element to all of
Yeah.
it. And now that lightsabers have come so far, the fact that so many of these guys are actually involved with the creation. I mean, the fact that Jesse and Kasich, like the fact that they actually do stuff for Saber Trio, I mean, which is mind blowing when you think about it, because these are they're such young, enthusiastic guys. They're so good at what they do. They're so responsive on social media, which is a lot of work. You know what I mean? It is. But
Yep.
but the sound quality, the kind of connection that they all have, and the consistency, it's a hard thing. It really is tough, especially when you're doing other things in your life, to do this hobby and to do it properly, right? But I think that the small guy and the big guy, they're all kind of mashed together because they all have that same passion, right? They all
Yeah.
love Star Wars, and I think this community brings a lot more people together than just Star Wars. Like, I think there are a lot of, I mean, Simon and Cody are like really good examples of that. And for every single one of those guys brings something cool and new to the table.
Yep.
So I think, I mean, look at Stoney. I mean, everybody here, without a doubt, would say that Stoney is the best lightsaber twirler out there on YouTube,
For
and he's
sure.
got so much awesome stuff. And he's such a lovely, positive guy. And I would say that everyone is, and everyone's been so awesome and so supportive. I mean, you of all people, I mean, I'm so appreciative, man. I really am. It's
I
been
haven't,
so
I
much.
literally haven't done anything. But what I would say is that this all of these people, I think what it is
You hit play, and I'm so thankful. Like, how did you bind that all together and turn it into? I don't know. I think it was great. Thank you.
yeah, no, you're welcome. It was fun. I knew what I was doing from the get-go with you because I knew your vibe. So I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's fine. It's easy. And for me, when I'm doing animations, if I know the person, it's always easier because I'm like, yeah, I got this.
That makes sense. I get
You
that.
know, I'm like,
Yeah.
because yours, there was a no-brainer for me. I'm like, well, it's a neon sign. Obviously, it's a neon sign. Because I think of you, I think of the Bahamas, I think of drinking in a bar, I think of a neon sign. Done. That's
When you
those
did
are my
Natties,
steps.
that's
Yes,
true. But when you did Natties, and I saw how good your neon effects were, I was like, I wish if there was some way he could incorporate that in there together.
I do. I do
And
enjoy
you
doing
nailed
the
it, man.
neon.
I'm so happy with it. I really am, and I think there are so many. There are a lot of people that I kind of pitched this idea to about doing this, and ever even getting on camera or whatever. But there have been a lot of people that have been so supportive, and I do put a lot of kind of love and care into the shoots that I do and the edits that I make. Like everybody does, but I would definitely say that my wife has been incredibly supportive as well, with helping me get certain equipment pieces and doing that. So for me, it's been an and the journey for me has only begun. So I'm so excited to see
Yeah.
where this
Well,
goes.
this is it. I mean, this is the fun part. It's just like I'm come. I think it's June. I've been doing this for 2 years. Um,
Decent amount of time.
yeah, but I'm still enjoying myself, and I think that's key. I do this very much for myself. I love the fact that people enjoy what I do. Um, but I think there's different ways to approach this hobby, and I think that's the key part about it is it's a hobby and it's supposed to be fun. And I think you've come into this, and you have helped me along the way as well because you've come into this with this energy and this vigor that makes me want to keep doing it. Not just keep
Oh,
doing it,
thanks, man.
but
But
want
by
to
for
like
for
do
me,
more as well. You know, because like I could quite easily just not interact with people and
true.
just be like, here's a lightsaber, here's some Lego, done. Um, but your energy is infectious, and
Thank you,
it's
man.
and it, you know, you and I, we've done a few bits and pieces. We're planning on doing something huge, which we will
Very
get
cool
to.
stuff.
We will get to in this video. We will tell people what we're doing. Um, but it is definitely making me want to do more because I've been re-energized with it. And I'm not doing anything differently, but it's just making me enjoy things a bit more because like I'm able to share things. Like I can share things with a lot of people, but there's something I get from you when I share things with you. And I think it's the same the other way around. We've met on
I'm
this
very
level where we're
enthusiastic.
like, dude, and you're like, dude, and we're like, dude. And it just kind of keeps going back and forth. You know, there's no, unfortunately, I think there's a lot of elements in this community, which is crazy, of competition and one-upsmanship. You see it not so much in people that we talk to, because most people we talk to are genuinely decent human beings and they're really nice and cool and on the level. But
Yeah.
the Star Wars community as a whole is not always fun.
No, fair
And
enough.
and there is a huge element of, oh, you've got that, well, I've got this. And I'm not in the mood for any of that. I'm like,
I
well,
never, yeah, no, I really don't ever want to come off that way. I love to share. And I would honestly say when you come into this and when you know nothing, right? Like, because the reality is I didn't follow any of this stuff until I really started looking at it like 8 or 9 months ago.
yeah,
And then when I remember I was sitting at my computer and I saw somebody ignite a Neo blade for the first time, and I was like, "There's no way that's real. There's no way that's real." And then I realized that, rather than a baselit, there were actually, like pixels actually going all the way up through the carbonate blade. And I just, man, I was so intrigued by the electronics, and then I started seeing these crazy internal installations with the rotating core chambers, and I the fact that these sabers were functional, and that there were companies that actually make good quality sabers that you could fight and play with. I mean, that's something that Byron and I, my younger brother and I, used to do in the backyard when we were kids with mop sticks. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and we had such an amazing time with it. And there are so many people I know that would watch what I'm saying right now and go, "Oh my god, we did the same thing when we were kids."
oh yeah,
And
no
and
doubt.
the fact that these sabers look and feel the way that they do, and you can, and there are so many different companies, dozens and dozens, like 80 companies that I can think of, that make these lightsabers all over the world. It is remarkable. I mean, there you can get pretty much anything you want. I
Yeah,
mean, as custom as you want to go, and then when you realize that there are, four big, soundboard companies, that, the Diadium and the Golden Harvest, Profi, and CFX. And when I started the whole journey, I really wanted to have a sampling of all of those, because there's so much stuff online. But then when you actually look for exactly what you want, there's very little online about,
yeah,
certain things, like, or certain sabers, right? Like, that's actually like the Crystal Jade MK2 that I got from Saberforge. Like, I didn't see a video of that anywhere.
yeah.
Like, and so I decided to make it, and people message me and say, like, "Thank you so much for putting this up." And it's so funny because when I bought the first Aurora from Electrum, which, I haven't really turned on, because I have to fix the thread. It didn't come anyway. But since that time, I mean, there was a guy named Jedi Ernie, and I remember seeing his first video, and I was so intrigued by it, and there was all these people from completely different walks of life,
Yeah,
but they're all bound by the same love for Star Wars. And I think that's a really awesome thing.
I do too. And I think the thing about lightsabers and how things are right now, like from let's say 3 years ago to now, it's a completely different world. Like if you've got this hobby, you can go from like entry level to absolute
Insanity.
nuts. Yeah,
Yeah,
completely.
like enough to buy a car. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And but you can get everything in between.
yeah.
And like nobody, I don't feel at this point that anybody is priced out of getting into it.
No, I no. I mean, 50
You
or
know?
$60 for a round of drinks, you can get a saber.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's
then like for me, like my first saber was very much baselit, and I, again, I think that there's certain things that appeal to different people. Like that, there's a lot of people out there that want to duel with these sabers, and so then maybe a stunt saber is better for them without sound in it, because then there's less to mess up, you know. Or they'll get an RGB because they want to change the blade color, but they still want to fight with it so that it's just RGB. But then you're like, oh, I want it to be able to like ignite and retract, and so then you're into NeoPixel, and you're like, okay, well there are some NeoPixel you can actually spar with now, and so and then you're like, okay, and then I'm the sort of person that likes internals, so then there's people that do all these incredible internals
oh,
as well.
amazing
Then
stuff.
there's people that like, I just enjoy their hilts at their absolute, the closest you can get to the movie accurate, and you can get those. Like whatever it is that you like,
You can
you
get
can
it.
get into
You
it.
can get it, and if even if the company that makes the right hilt that you want, but doesn't really have the electronics that you want, you can find somebody to upgrade that.
That will
The
do it.
guys that,
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about guys like Jeremy and Elvis and you know Sam with all of the font stuff, and Kyber with the sound. I mean, it's amazing how all of those people are just so connected. And if you and all of the research keeps pointing back to these good people, right?
Yes.
Like it does. Like if you search enough, like I could from Zach all the way over to Sam, and then to Izzy, and then to Natty. I mean, they're all so connected to that. And I will say this, like for somebody that, because I literally thought I was going to get one or two sabers and that was going to be it. So I decided to go NeoPixel because it was the newest thing. It's the brightest blade. It's the coolest, most accurate, right? Awesome. Going to go for that, right? I'm going to spend that kind of money on something. I'm going to go for that. But since I've, obtained a lot of these beautiful sabers, I got to tell you, watching Stoney, watching Shannon and the guys from Forged by Light, like watching them duel around in the park. Honestly, watching these guys and chatting with them about it all, and watching even their live streams, and having the same beautiful hilt, but having it baselit so that you don't feel bad about doing what they're meant to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you drop it, whatever, you're not going to freak out because you're spending $300 on a saber versus 800 or 900 or 700, whatever you're spending on your saber.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would definitely say is when I started researching all of this, the lead times were just nuts. I was like, 6 months? Are you crazy? Like this is insanity. And then when you would watch, Star Wars IRL's, top 7 lightsaber companies video, and you would see Vader's Vault and Saber Trio, and then realize that Saber Trio sells out in a matter of minutes, and Vader's Vault is, a 13-month wait time. When you see Sam's, when you see Simon talk about his Vader's Vault, I think he got his cross guard from there.
Yep.
Was it, or his Kylo? I think he got his Kylo from there. His Kylo took 13 months. I think I'm right about that, Simon. But when you think about all of that, and the fact that Jeremy, I got my 89 Sabers Graflex. I literally got this lightsaber in 3 weeks from start to finish. And he printed the chassis and the inside for me. And it's just a fantastic lightsaber. It's amazing. I wouldn't spar with this. I wouldn't hit anything with it.
The thing is, right, people do go, they're like, oh, but you can spar with NeoPixel blades now. And I'm like, listen, sure, by all means, you go ahead. I ain't doing it. Like, oh, but the walls are thick enough, right? Okay. But let's say, for argument's sake, I go a bit too hard and I break that blade. That's a lot of money to spend on another blade.
Yeah, it is.
You know what? I got a base lightsaber and I crack that blade. It's 20 quid for a new blade, no problems. You know what I
That was,
mean?
yep. And that's another thing. Like, I'm all the way down in the Bahamas, right? So we use freight forwarders. Everything's more expensive. There's extra taxes to be paid. So like, when I decided to invest in this stuff, I reached out to the company owners. Like, I would reach out to, Andrew from Bendu Armory, and ask him about blades. And I remember I got a KR blade from him, and it actually showed. And I was so excited to get this because I was like, KR, super bright, gonna go in my Graflex. It's gonna look amazing. And I put it in, and it did ignite, and I was I couldn't figure it out. So I actually reached out to him on Facebook. He wrote back to me very quickly. And I said, look, man, I'm gonna order another KR blade from you. But he goes, can you solder? I was like, yeah. I went out and got all of the tools. I got the soldering iron, the heat gun, the helping hands, the mat, the whole 9 yards. So he kind of, went through the basics with me. I took the whole thing apart, resoldered it, put the PCB. He sent me 3 new PCB plates. So I re-put the whole thing back together, and it ignited. So like, it was that to me kind of sealed the deal. Because like, I said, man, I was like, if I can get to the point where I can create something, and I mean, even just taking apart the blade, resoldering it, putting it back together, and having it work for me was an awesome experience, especially speaking to Andrew. So that was awesome, because their blades are really amazing. I have a couple of blades from him, KR and heavy actually, and their heavy blades are extremely bright, and I couldn't recommend them more. They're fantastic.
Again, I wouldn't spin with them.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't spar with them, right? But also, I wouldn't spin with a NeoPixel saber because it's too heavy. This is the other thing,
Yeah.
This is the other thing that I've found, is if you're trying to spin and you've got the whole NeoPixel, you got the internals, it's heavy and you get tired. It hurts.
It does.
I was out the other night with with my Force Sabers UK staff, which is single LED.
Which I saw.
And I was there for an hour and a half. Even still, by the end of the hour and a half, I'm still like
feeling it.
Because it's like it weighs nothing. And you can go fast and it looks good, and and it's fun. And every now and again, it's I've thrown it out of my hand, but it's still working perfectly because it's no dramas, no worries about that. So I do think when it comes to sabers, it is down to what you want to do with them as well. Like, and I have a lot of sabers, and that doesn't appear to be slowing down at any time soon.
You do, but it's epic. Like, your collection.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But like, I've gotten to the point now where I went from like nothing to everything in a very short space of time, and I think now I'm at the point where I am trying to cultivate my collection, where I've got a certain amount of space. People have seen it. I've got a wall of dreams. I've got a certain amount of space on my wall. So if I get a new saber, one of the old ones has to come down and go somewhere.
That's fair. I mean, it would. I mean, when you get up to that.
Yeah, except but then I've got like 2 sabers set up here now. There's one behind this camera just here. So they do spread a little bit, but the rule is, if the wall is full, then I have to, and I've got a new saber coming, then one of them has to go. And I think what that's helping me do is it's helping me pick and choose what I want and why I want it, which I think is key, because like I have certain favorite characters, and the big 3 are Luke, Kanan, and Ahsoka, and I have all of their sabers. My Luke isn't correct. My Luke is an original LGT Luke, which is nice and it looks lovely and shiny. But I'm now at the point where I'm like, that's not right. that part of that's not right. The switch isn't correct. This doesn't light up. That's not right. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's not time now to upgrade that. Well, not that hilt. That hilt will go and get a better hilt in its place.
It's hard with certain hilts because when you upgrade, you kind of have to make a choice, because if you want to upgrade to, let's say, you want to take your Luke and you want to upgrade it to a NeoPixel, for example,
Yeah.
right? Like the one that I have from Saberforge, the Crystal Redeemer MK3 Prodigal Son, like it's great. I would never spin that. That would cut a hole in my hand.
Yeah.
Because it's super sharp on the control box, but it's, in terms of beauty, aesthetics, it being, accurate. Obviously, the grenade grip is very uniform on that one, and it should be offset.
Yeah.
But
you see, it's little things like that you notice when you own a saber as well. Like
yeah,
when,
no, I agree.
Like so like that was, I think, my third saber that I bought. So it was just, oh my god, because I literally just hit. This is the Black Series Hasbro, right? And it's fine, but it's wrong. Every part of it is that's wrong. That's wrong. The only good thing is the box, but that's the wrong color. And it's a beef,
It's actually in the box still, because I was photographing it the other day.
But this was my first Luke hilt, and I absolutely adored it because this is my favorite saber, right? And it's NeoPixel. You got to give that to him. It's a NeoPixel blade. So, but then
but that hilt's like, how old is that?
4 years.
That's probably when NeoPixel like started to really become a thing.
Black Series have
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Black Series and all the ones that are made by Hasbro have always been NeoPixel. They've always up and down, which is why it's so thick in the middle, because they've always had to put all the internals in here, and they've not figured out a way to make it small. Even the Galaxy's Edge, right? Galaxy's Edge Luke Legacy Saber comes with the switch out part here. So if you have it on display, you take the blade out, you have it on display, it's got a thin neck. If you want to put the blade in, it's got a thick neck. Yeah. The brand new Obi-Wan Kenobi Black Series lightsaber that they just announced looks beautiful. Thin neck, everything else. You want to put the blade in, it's got a thick neck switch out.
Oh my god, you're kidding me.
Nope.
So this is the same one that I just photographed.
Nice.
These boxes are fantastic. I got the guy on Etsy makes them, but they even smell amazing. Truly, but this is what I mean. It's a great saber. It's amazing. It feels amazing. I remember when I took this out of the box. In fact, this was the very first saber I ever bought.
Nice.
Because I was like, you know what? If I can only own one, this needs to be it, right? This is what you and I grew up with. This is it, right? But it that does look awesome. I can even see you. They're so reflective. I can see you. Yeah, there you go. The chrome is absolutely incredible. One thing I didn't show on the camera, actually. Now, to Saberforge's credit, and I know Zach and Shannon, and Darth Paradigm and Darth Paladin. I like those guys because they do really, really good Saberforge stuff. But the machining is great. I would say the only thing, I know this Saberforge has gotten kind of a lot of flack, but I got to tell you, at the higher end, I also think that a lot of people that buy Saberforge stuff, and I don't want to get slammed for saying this either, but they buy stuff from Saberforge thinking that it's totally dual worthy. And if this represents the highest level saber that they make, there's no way I would ever duel with this. No way. Right. So
I think the key that you notice when you start buying lightsabers is how many of the ones in the films are not practical.
Oh, I agree.
Kenobi's from Phantom Menace with his grenade pommel. Nah. The entire idea is that you hold that and use that. No, you couldn't hold that. Let me see, that's dope.
It's I would say for for such a large company that has such a large selection, I haven't had one issue with the saber. I've turned this on hundreds and hundreds of times. And you want to know what else? This is something that nobody ever talks about with these hilts. The battery life on this is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to, I'll burn through Jeremy's, like the one that Jeremy did for me in half hour, 40 minutes, it's done. I got to recharge the battery. I won't have to charge this for weeks, and I can turn it on every day. And sometimes I'll just randomly check to see what the battery life is, and it's like battery level 80%. I'm like, how is that possible? But it is.
Yeah.
And I think they just have a much larger battery.
So I actually have my original LGT Luke hilt here.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks all right. When you glance at it, it looks all right. It's okay. When you start really looking at it, you realize that this is all wrong. This is all wrong. Look, there's not even there's no button on there. It's all just, it's one of those, it's almost right, and these bits, I don't know how well you can see those, but they're not these, it's just, they're flat. They're not curved. And so I'm like, it's nice. And it's obviously a lot better than the other one I've got, but it's still not right. So it's time for me to move on from this and get something proper. So that's kind of my plan. And that's how I'm sort of curating my collection. I'm picking and choosing what to get now, as opposed to just going, oh, look, that's new, let's buy it now.
You've been collecting for years though. So like your collection. No.
No,
how many years?
I've been collecting as long as my channel's been going.
Wow. So the original one that you had from 4 years ago, that was like kind of what started it all.
That's my favorite hilt. So I bought it. It was Hasbro, so I bought it, and it was literally just sitting up on my wall for a good couple of years before I started any of this YouTube stuff. And literally, it was a mystery box baselit saber that I picked up that kind of started everything, because that was the one that I was like, I can change the colors and there's different sounds and there's all this and that. That's what
it's crazy,
and then like the longer you're in it, the more you understand. But then I'm at the point now where I'm like, right, I understand everything. I can now start like pulling back a little bit and just picking and choosing certain things. Like, even though you can add all these sound fonts on, and there's so many like incredible sound font makers out there. Obviously,
there are. Oh my god!
Sith, Force Effects, Syndicate Custom Relics, Phoenix Saber fonts, Harry Solo fonts. There's like font makers galore, and I'm pretty sure I've forgotten some, but they're all incredible, like at what they do, and I love the stuff that they do. But like when I get my next Luke, there's only one sound font going on it. Because what other sound font would I need on it than Luke's?
Couldn't agree with you more. And
I would, like on my Kanan, I have Rebels sound fonts.
Yeah.
But still, 9 times out of 10, it's just sitting on Kanans, because that, when it comes to a character hill, I only want that character sound on it. Whereas when it's like a custom hill or like a unique out of universe hilt, then I kind of go a bit crazy, and I've got one hilt that's all light side fonts and another hilt that's all dark side fonts and that. But again, like, I think it's very cool because you can literally do whatever you want. Like whatever it is that you're into, you can kind of focus on that. And I really like that. And you just really confused me then. I was like, what is going on?
It said raise. I was raising my hand. I didn't mean to.
But the beauty of that is obviously we're all into different parts of it, and everybody brings their certain like different things.
It's so many different levels. I mean, even when you and I were sitting in the back of the Phoenix in London, and there you were wearing the shirt, and the waitress came up to you, and she was like, I love your shirt. And I was like, he's a YouTuber. And you were like, oh. And I was, and it was funny because now, there's someone that we could potentially help that can get into. I mean, a lot of people think that you got to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a lightsaber, but you've been reviewing some really good, very cost effective stuff.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say that when I got into this, and I mean, it's everywhere you look that you search for it, whether it's on Facebook or IG or Twitter, Twitter or Instagram, anywhere. I would definitely say that it's grown so exponentially.
Crazy.
I mean, some of the stuff that I joined that were like, 10, 11, 12,000 people strong are now like 35, 40,000 people in like 8 months.
Yeah.
And these are just side groups. And then there's all these individual breakouts for each kind of, whether it's Lego or whether you love thin necks or whether and there are people that are, it's remarkable. I mean,
or then you've got someone like Carter who's like obsessed with Vader's hilt and just goes through all the different Vader's
Carter.
And I'm like, that's brilliant. I'm like, that's such a cool thing. That's so specific, and then you got people like Nerd Dad doing his thing, and like everybody,
love him.
Even though we're all kind of doing similar things, we're all bringing our own elements to it. And I think the more of us that do it, the better it is for people coming in, because then you get like this broad view of, right, what's really good,
Yeah. There's also
from budget to crazy money, what's actually really good in all of that? Because unfortunately, we are also, you're right, everything's exploded and not all of it has been good.
It's true. Like there are a lot of companies. I mean, obviously, because when I went out there and I was looking for the best hilt, and I watched certain YouTube videos and saw, Vader's Vault and Saber Trio, and then I realized that there were people called sabersmiths like Jeremy, and that that printing, and then realizing that all of that, and then linking it to the entire cosplay community, and seeing how people, even you, man, with your Mando costume, and the fact that you have an Ahsoka aspired Mandalorian outfit is fantastic, right? By the way, your figurine should be coming in the next couple of days, I hope. That thing is going to be awesome, by the way.
I'm so excited, dude. I'm so excited.
And I am the only one in the community that can actually say that I've seen your Lego collection, including your Lego lightsaber hilts, which are incredibly unique. And I honestly feel like I want to, when I come back up there, bring my camera and photograph them, because
hey, by all means,
cool.
I may be getting a couple more of those. They've just dropped some new designs. There's an Ezra of the staple gun saber in Lego that I think I need, and a second sister with the whole ring in Lego,
which is an amazing. I saw Carly King get one of those. I think somebody gifted it to her.
Yeah, but this is in Lego.
Give it to her, huh?
But this is Lego.
Oh my god!
So like my ones that have been built. A second sister.
Was that you that posted the child like Yoda's lightsaber? There's like a Lego version.
No. That was I can't remember who that was, but no, cool, that's a real set. That's a real official Lego set that costs way too much money. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Grayscale fonts, yeah.
Grayscale fonts.
I really like him too. He sent me a really, really awesome, like he's actually got I literally saw the video of him swinging the saber around. The blade's got to be like 16 inches at most. But I remember he sent that to me, and that was a really, really, really cool stuff. Nice guy. But I would say that I have not connected every single person that I've reached out to. And it's a little nerve-wracking too, because when you realize how deep the saber hole really goes, and how many people are connected to it, and how how customizable they are, it's just remarkable. It
can
really
be
awesome.
Quite daunting, I think, for people.
Very daunting, man. Not everybody has all, with lives and family and kids and jobs, have all this time to research where to spend, the money. And I think it's one of the reasons I got into this is because when I ordered, the kind of the range, I didn't care so much about the electronics with certain companies as I did the hilt,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, Electrum's Aurora is an absolutely, the grenade grip on that is second to none. Like, it feels absolutely amazing in your hand. But the electronics,
It's a shame it's got
I wish,
electronics in it.
I wish, I just wish,
Yeah.
Everybody
with one does.
yeah, unfortunately, I really wish that I wish I wish I could say more about it. I really do, because it's such a beautiful hilt. But unfortunately, it doesn't. When you match it up against a Jeremy installed Profi or a Saber Trio CFX,
it's not going to touch
it just, it's just.
But I think one of the reasons why I try and cover like the different variations of things is to try and help people that don't know everything, because I didn't know everything when I came in at all. Like, I literally had to learn everything from scratch. And there's still stuff I don't know, but there's also a lot of stuff that I've learned along the way that I'm like, you know what, that's not my thing. Like, as incredible as people that do all these like crazy, super intricate internals, and they're all this, and I'm like
Martin
that's amazing. Like, incredible, like craftsmanship.
Wow. I mean, my God.
That's artwork.
Yeah.
But it's not something I'm ever going to get into, because I'm
not
not
spending that kind of money.
I'm not going to never open up my saber. I leave them closed and they hang on the wall. Like, but the beauty of it is if you are, it's there, and there are a lot of people still getting into this now. And I like to think that there's enough approachable people that if someone reached out to me and went, can you help me try and buy my first saber? I'd be like, absolutely. What do you need? Because I'm not going to like sit there and go, oh, you have to have this and it has to be this from this company. It's like, no. Let's keep it simple,
And you know what else is even more amazing? I would say that it's so international. Like, I'm sitting here in the Bahamas and you were up in England.
Yeah.
And there are certain companies that are good no matter where you order them from, right? But but certain companies have heavy taxes. Like, Stony probably pays more taxes on stuff. I mean, next to us here, having to pay freight forwarders and duties upon duties, it's probably one of the most expensive places they have that kind of stuff shipped to. So when you're spending that kind of money on something, I think for me, getting on camera was kind of the first kind of nervous thing that I didn't. So my reviews truly aren't, I don't say anything negative about these sabers. I'm really just showcasing them visually as best I possibly can. But, that maybe someone would like to hear what I have to say about, how it feels and is it good to swing? And, I may get to that point, but, we'll see.
But again, I think likewise, you're bringing something else to the table, something that not everybody does, where it's just like you're showing, like, if someone wants to listen to an idiot talk about how much they love a saber, they'll watch my videos, right? I'll be like, no, I love this, right? Whereas if someone wants to watch how well crafted a beautiful saber is, they'll go to you. And but the thing is, you and I could review the exact same saber, and someone would get two completely different things from it. And I think that's key. I think that's key, because then we're able to give all of that information to everybody, and that's what I really like about this, is like, I could review something, Sam could review the same thing, and we'll pick up on two completely different things,
Agreed. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
And I really like that. And I think, obviously we've said that you and I, we chat every day at this point, like every day. There isn't a day that goes past that. If I don't get a message from you during the day, I'm like,
you okay, bro?
I wonder if he's all right. I'm like, is he okay?
No, man. It's been awesome. It's been such a good outlet, as well, because other than my work and hanging out with my amazing wife, I just, I really enjoyed this, like the camaraderie and You know, all of it. And honestly, like when the guys did the 12-hour live stream, I got 2 or 3 shots of like 10 of you all on there, and I'm like, these are all the guys that I've been following, you know, this entire time, and it's been such a trip, man. I've really enjoyed it. I really have.
That was mad.
Yeah, it
I
was
did really enjoy
hard to
that,
hear sometimes.
but like
I
I was
actually,
like when it was like 9, 10 people, I'm like, this is insane.
I actually had it open on 2 different browsers and I didn't realize it. So it was like dubbing over each
Double
other.
Jesus.
It was mad. It was mad.
But that was fun. That was fun. I only dipped in for an hour, um, but it was good. And it's you know, it's nice to be able to connect to all these different people from all different walks of life, you know,
All different walks of life from different
and
areas of the world. It's
yeah,
crazy.
and we're all into something different as well, you know, because like you and I are sort of we're the old guard in this. We
That's
are
kind of
like
true. Yeah, it is.
we're the
It's
original
true.
trilogy kids,
Yeah.
whereas most of them prequel trilogy kids, and I don't understand it, but I'm willing to accept it.
Yep. I'm with you there. I don't, there's
Unlike
no,
over my years, I've gotten a lot more appreciation for the prequels, and with everything else that's come from the prequels. Um, but they speak of it with the love that we do for the original trilogy, and I
I
think
couldn't
that's
agree with that more.
incredible. I think that's amazing. It's just like I love the fact that they can see something different in it than I can. And
Yeah.
I enjoy connecting to people on those levels for them to go, no, but you don't understand. It's because of this, this, and this. And then I go, I didn't think of it that way. And like, even though these films have been around for so long, you're learning new stuff all the time.
That to me is what's so amazing. I mean, George Lucas's creation of the depth of storyline is, there's nothing else quite like it. Okay, maybe Star Trek, but
Yeah.
for me it's just not the same thing at all. I just, you know, I do like Star Trek, but compared to Star Wars, there's no comparison for me. You
I
know,
feel the same.
yeah,
I love them both, but in
yeah,
very, very different ways.
completely different,
Very
completely
different
different.
ways.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Star Wars has lightsabers.
It's
Star
pretty
Wars
hard
has
to
lightsabers.
like compete with that. So, you know, but I love meeting people that know Star Wars. I also love people that don't know Star Wars, and I
Nobody
get
knows Star Wars better than you, that I know.
I don't agree with that at all. At all. Like I know a
That
lot,
everybody
but I
I
don't
know.
like, and also like I know a
Stony, what do
lot
you think,
about
Ben? You agree?
certain things. Like there's certain elements of it that I'm like, I know that off the, you know, everything about that. And there's other parts of it that I'm like, I haven't got a clue, you know, because
There's so
this
much
entire
to it.
universe spans like 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, like if we're going legends, and then like I think it's 50 to 60 years after the Battle of Yavin. So there's a lot to learn about there, and I know a lot about the old stuff,
Yeah.
and then the Old Republic. I don't know a lot about the High Republic because it's only just started, and then I know quite a bit,
I still have so much to learn. I mean, I love it.
about like legends. Like after that, I've read all those books, so I do know. I know a lot. I know bits and pieces about a lot of it. Um, it's something that I've just kind of been into my entire life, so it's always been a constant for me. It's always been there, even when there were no films, no series, no nothing. It was still a constant because there were always books, there were always comics, there were always video games. You know, so it's always been around no matter what, and I've kind of stuck with it this whole time. And you know, I've been able to recently, in the last couple of years, introduce somebody to Star Wars from nothing. From I don't want to watch that.
Which blows my mind that
I don't want to watch
somebody
that.
can
I
even
don't
get to
like
that
it.
point in their life and not know, like, and not
Yeah.
have, you know, even my business partner, he's just, some people just aren't into it.
And that's fine. But
yeah, agreed.
I say give me half a day and I'll pretty much guarantee I could get you into it. Listen, I can do it. Like for someone who been like, no, it's not my thing. No, I'm not interested. To the point that now she's got more Star Wars tattoos than I do, and it's like my work here is done in like what 2.5 years I did that.
Not bad.
So I love the fact that you can still introduce this to new people.
It becomes, I think for people like you and I, and for a lot of guys, Jury Jedi as well, Mike. Like I was literally just chatting with him. I went on one of his live streams just randomly. He just randomly opening a box, randomly turn on live, and I connect. It's awesome. I literally can't say more positive things about the experience that I've had.
But that's very good that you've had a positive experience, because unfortunately a lot of Star Wars isn't that,
I know.
So I think it's wonderful that you've been given that. I think that's a lovely introduction.
Honestly though, like I was very selective. I really did do my research, and you can see the personalities of all of these individuals like on YouTube. Like they post enough, they post consistently that you can really get a lot about a person, from what they're posting.
Oh, you can for sure tell the decent ones from the ones that you're like, I'm not interested in getting to know you.
I honestly think though that for a lot of people, there are not many things that you can spend that kind of money on consistently, like sabers, right? And
I don't know, Lego.
True.
Black Series figures.
But I think the experience grows as you connect with more and more people.
Helmets.
Let's talk about that for a second.
I can't figure that out. There we go. My brain was not working then. I'm like, is that forward? Is it back?
The helmets. I still need to review my Mando and my Darth helmet. I love it.
Yeah. Did you see they just announced a new Darth helmet?
I love this one that I already have.
Yeah.
But yes, I did.
It's more of a Rogue One Vader helmet. It's okay. Some people seem to have a problem with the one that you and I have, but I really love it. I think it's.
I love it. I think for first of all, it was a birthday present. So
it means
thank
more.
You, Simone. Thank you, Lynn. That was amazing. I love it, and getting it home was not easy, but it was totally worth it. Right. It's great. I love it.
But yeah, I there's something I want to do that I will talk to you about after this. I've had an idea. Idea about something.
They're never bad.
Talking of ideas, you and I, let's talk about our project that we've got.
Our flag
we're going to attempt. So
this is going to be a long year plus event for us.
Yeah.
As we do it, but like it's definitely something that we really want to do. I know I do.
We were sitting there and we were like, what can we do? We need to do something together, just because, for no other reason than we just enjoy hanging out. And we're like, why do we not just do something that like we could put up onto the internet? Yeah. So we're also not professionals in this arena. So what we have decided to do is we are going to build our own lightsabers, which is insane.
A lot of people are going to go,
oh, these guys.
But
right. So we're not building these lightsabers to sell. We're not starting anything. We're literally building our own lightsabers for ourselves together. We don't really know anything. So we are starting from scratch. We're going to do essentially the same build.
The same build in different areas of the world, but like, reaching out to necessary people, finding out what we can, and then once they're done, I've even when you watch Star Wars IRL when he did it, you saw that whole journey. You saw how he was frustrated. Yeah. You saw how he went through it, but then you also saw him turn it on.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, he gave Jeremy big props in that video, and it's, it's definitely something that I think we can do. And once that's all done, send them away, get them acid etched. I mean, I just the idea for you and I to do that is solely because I don't think that you can have a closer experience or a more in-depth lightsaber experience than building your own and igniting it for the first time.
I agree. I agree. So
You know,
that's what we're
no
going
matter
to do.
how hard that's going to be,
It's
even
going
if
to be
it's
difficult because we
very
don't know what we're doing. Like at the end of the day,
yeah.
like we don't know what we're doing.
No, but I'm definitely passionate enough to. We both are to.
But we're going to
take
figure
that
it
on.
out, and I think
Yeah.
that the beauty of it is us doing it together means that we figure it out together.
Yeah, man.
Like, and we can bounce ideas off of each other. And when one of us is like, I don't know what I'm doing here, hopefully the other one will be like, you got to do this. And we are going to do it for YouTube. But it's not going to be like one big long video. We're going to break it down into bits and pieces and doing it when we can. Well, we have decided to go with the flagship hilt because it's easy hilt to put everything in. It's a very simple, straight up and down hilt. Rather than going for anything super intricate
and really good etching capability.
And
for
at
that.
the end of it, you know, so we're gonna pick the board, we're gonna pick the chassis, we're gonna get the wires, we're gonna get everything, and we'll do that. Will kind of be the first video, is us picking all the bits and pieces and finding out like what we need to start.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna start like soldering stuff and putting it and bits and pieces, little bit by little bit, until eventually we hopefully both have a working lightsaber that we've built from scratch. We are going NeoPixel. We haven't decided what type of board yet. But then the idea is that because they're both flagships, and flagships are the best things you can have for acid etching.
Yep.
We send them off, we get them acid etched, and they basically are saber brothers at that point.
They would be like get the Island Jedi logo and Fulcrum on the Force on either side.
On either side of the
crowd.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, you know. And I think you know, I think that they're quite cheap hilts as well. I think it's like
are.
80, 90 bucks or
$90,
something. Crazy, which is crazy. You know, so to do that, I mean, with all of the Saber Trio sabers that I've ordered, that Senza that I have coming with the acid etching on the outside and the Arabesh glyphs, all that stuff, like that, all of these sabers, like that saber for me is going to kind of signify what I love about all my sabers in one saber.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I think that's I think it's extremely ambitious. And I think a lot of people are going to say, you guys don't know what you're saying, building your own saber. You don't know how.
No, and we don't.
And I get it. Right. I get that. But I'm gonna do it. Like, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
We're absolutely.
Even if we get to a point where we're like, this isn't working, and we have to wind backwards,
I'm still gonna do it.
Start again.
We're still gonna do it. Yeah.
We will just keep going until we've built it.
Yeah.
And you know, is it going to be pretty as we build it? No. Is it going to be like one of these lovely, like where you look inside and it's amazing?
But
probably not.
If we pull it off, right? If we actually do,
incredible.
It would be awesome. Right?
And then the final video, the final video after all of this, it will be me and you together in person,
igniting those sabers.
I
already have the back to bring them up to England, or whether you come here. But that would eventually happen.
And that's how that ends. So it's going to be a project, and it's going to take.
But with all of that stuff and everything that we're going to do moving forward, there are so many people that I would love to get involved with whatever we possibly can. Like Elvis, he's the man. Like I would absolutely love to, you know, work on something collaboratively, you know, with all of these people and do something super cool and super unique, you know, and raise everything up if we can. I mean, it would be lovely to have that kind of collaborative effort across the board. I mean, look at how giving he is. I mean, when he makes, you know, Cody the blasters, and when he makes the helmet for the UPS boys, you know, and I would say that every single person in the community has what Elvis has in their own way.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody brings something different to the table.
They do. They do, and it's kind of the strength of all of it, because even when you're watching it and seeing all of these people create these videos over and over and over again, it's a nerve-wracking thing to even text some of these people, so I'm even kind of a little awestruck at first when I watched all of the videos and I wrote to all of you guys and you would respond, and then I started sharing kind of one or two of the sabers that I was collecting, and it was great. Everyone was so responsive, and when I connected with you and then Jake, and it was all kind of snowballed from there, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been awesome.
I mean, it's been great sort of seeing you grow from like there to where you are now. And
thank you, man.
It's really exciting to see like what's next as well, because I know some of the stuff you've got coming, so I'm very much looking forward to those videos.
Me too.
That's for sure.
I really am, and it's a lot of work to do that as well. I mean, to snag. I mean, even to get the Saber Trio sabers.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
you're literally there, like refreshing the button, and they open up, and 800 sabers disappear in 90 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to be a certain
nuts.
type of person to do that. Like, it's Saber Trio is one of those where I'm like, no, it's never gonna happen. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I've accepted the fact that I don't have that in me to go down that route. I'm like, nah.
Fair enough.
You know?
To each his own. I mean, for me, it's the right thing. Like
but then I can also, I live vicariously through you, and I see what you've got coming, and I'm like, that's amazing. And then I just go about my day.
I will say though, like with you and Stony and Shannon and the Forge by Light guy, and so many of them that run a baselit saber. I mean, from having all of these beautiful NeoPixel sabers, I really want one that I can spin around and not worry about dropping, or hitting something with. And when I see these guys like really going at it, it's just it's crazy that they've created something that can take that kind of a beating and still be that beautiful and aesthetic.
Mate, my boys were out there the other day with theirs.
Yeah,
and they don't hold back at all.
Oh hell no!
I wouldn't want them to. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's for. That's what they're all built for. Anyway, I think it's probably time that we wrapped this little chat up.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Thank you so much for having me.
No, of course, mate. You're always welcome. You're practically part of the channel at this point.
No, man. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. And we don't know when the first one that we're doing is. We haven't figured that out yet.
No. A couple months from now, we got other
coming.
things to figure out. But that's going to be like once we get some stuff up and running, we get some good content going. That's going to be the end game kind of project that we absolutely look at. But I definitely think that kind of towards the end of this year, we're going to start to plan all of that.
Yeah.
And then spend next year kind of doing it all because like once I have once I have all of these come to me, right, it's going to be okay. What's next? And
oh yeah. I mean, like I've got big projects, obviously, with all the Force Saber stuff at the moment, anyway. So
and not to mention the upcoming animations you're going to be doing too for a lot of our good people. You're very good at that. So
I've got a few of those that I'm working on.
Amazing. I mean, really,
it can be tiring. I'm not gonna lie, it can be tiring.
But that's what.
And you know what it's like because also then you're running your own business as well, and it's just like, and I've got kids and.
Yes, I don't have kids yet, but I hear
it can be a lot.
Yep.
But it's all good fun. And I'm glad I've got you here to kind of spur me on with that.
If we can help a couple good people along the way and have fun doing it, and I genuinely feel that what we're doing and kind of the attitude that you have, I mean, it's all for the right reasons, and it's such an awesome hobby, and it's a little nerve-wracking to put yourself out there.
Oh, absolutely.
But I would say at the end of the day, I would love to add my list and our names to the list of like good, honest guys that are helping people kind of make these awesome decisions with these. It's a really cool hobby. It's super unique. There's nothing else that's kind of quite like this. And man, last thing I'll say is that I've been sent some of the guys that have been following my channel. They send me the videos of the crews that go to Galaxy's Edge with their sabers. And it's like hundreds of people all with their sabers, like all meeting in the same place and totally geeking out. And it's awesome. It's so cool. But anyway, man, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on.
To collabing with you on lots of stuff.
It's going to be fun. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. So that's it for this episode of Jim's Cantina. This was a long one, but it was a fun one.
Yeah, man.
I will be back with more lightsaber reviews from Force Sabers. I've got a bunch of Lego coming. I've got a bunch of Lego that I haven't even built yet that I need to review. There's stuff. And then we've got Kenobi as well. So it's going to be a busy
Oh,
time.
Kenobi. We didn't even talk about Kenobi. Oh my God.
There's time. There's time.
Oh,
So there's a lot
it's
going
so
on, but
good.
it's all good, all exciting stuff.
Yeah.
But until next time, he's been the other way. He's been the Island Jedi. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome, man.
I've been
Thanks so much for
Jim.
having me.
You're always very welcome. But until next time, don't forget, we are one with the Force, and the Force is with us.